Hello and welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thank you so much for joining us as we watch season 3, episode 9, Malleus Maleficarum. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, handling weapons, operating heavy machinery, or hexing people while wearing our lingerie. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, I went simple purely because I had a taste for it. So
Okay.
I went for a good old glass of white wine.
All right. There you go. A nice white for you. And do you have a guess as to what the theme of this week's featured cocktail might be?
Yes, I have two guesses.
Okay.
If there is a cocktail called a hex bag
Mhm.
or a witch's brew.
Well, it took you 2 tries, but you got it in 2. It is, in fact, called a witch's brew, and it is 1.5 ounces each of Midori melon liqueur and Cointreau, and 1 ounce of lemon juice, and it is this lovely green color. So Producer Mark, would you bring up our Supernatural game cards for us, please?
I don't I'm gonna get a couple. I don't have a unless we cheat slightly, I'm not gonna get anything big.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine and I have a similar feeling. So, well, we know at the very least we get one, so
Yeah.
we're gonna give ourselves that center square. As always, the first one is on the house. So cheers. Okay, I'm gonna warn you now. It has quite a bit of lemon juice in it, so I'm getting the yeah, um, it's it's got that, like, sweet part, like, Sour Patch Kid thing
Yep.
going. So it's excuse me, it's not bad, but if you prefer something that's not very sweet, this one, even though it's got, like, the tartness from the lemon juice and that little bit of bitter from the Cointreau. It's interesting, it's complex, but it is because of the Midori, it leans kind of heavily into the sweetness. So
Hmm. Oh Lord.
well, if you are playing along with us, there is a link in the link tree to generate a card of your very own. Before we hit play, the last episode that we watched together was a very supernatural Christmas.
Yes.
And at the end of that episode, towards the end, Lynn, you and I had a fairly lengthy conversation about whether or not the two old gods um, conducting the ritual with Sam and Dean, whether or not that constituted torture. And I argued pretty strongly that it was not torture. And I'm going to blame the eggnog because I don't know what was wrong with me, but in the time since we recorded that episode, um, it, I don't know what about 2 people being tied to chairs, having their fingernails and teeth pulled out with pliers did not turn into torture in my brain.
I'll admit I was like, I'm not gonna argue with her. Like, I'm not gonna fight her on this one, but oh Lord, I'm not sure what else she wants.
Yeah, I don't know what else the eggnog wanted either, but now doesn't neither one of us had the square on our cards, so it doesn't change our scoring at all.
Yeah.
But it is going into the tally, the total for the season. So when it will be included when we do our season 3 wrap up in a couple of weeks here. 'Cause, this is episode 9, so we are
Yes.
getting kinda close to the end of the season here. Um,
Is
but,
it really bad that I'm finally doing the yay, we agreed
we
on
agree. We agree on torture for once. Took me a little time to get on the bandwagon, but I have hopped aboard.
Well, God knows sometimes, it can take me 10 years to get a it takes me a little while to process as well at times, so
I think at this point, I choose to blame the eggnog. So,
then what's my excuse half the time?
are you drinking eggnog? All right. Well, with that, let's get this show on the road. So, our then again starts with our little montage of the monsters the boys have been killing. It focuses pretty heavily on Ruby and her demon killing knife. And if you have not seen the series all the way through and you're hoping that somebody comes up with a better name for it than the demon killing knife, you are doomed for disappointment because they never do. Um, but, again, the boys have been fighting quite a bit about the fact that Sam is working with Ruby and is not sending her ass straight back to hell. And there's this question of, is there something wrong with Sam? When he was resurrected, did he come back all Sam?
Oh,
Cut to now. And this reminds me a bit of the episode Provenance, where again we have two people coming
yes,
home.
yes, it does. I was like, it took me a second to feel like, wait a minute, which one is that? And yes, it does.
Yep, yep. So we've got two people coming home from a party, and we're going to assume it's a husband and wife. I believe they tell us later that they're married. But again, the dress comes off and she says, I need a couple minutes. And so the husband goes to get a bottle of wine while she heads into the restroom. So this is going to cut back and forth a bit, but we see a person conducting some kind of ritual as the wife is getting herself ready for bed. She takes a brand new toothbrush out of a box, and here's her old toothbrush that the person conducting the ritual has.
Yeah.
And as of course we get the she cuts herself, she's bleeding onto the toothbrush, and as she's conducting this ritual, the wife starts to pull
Well,
loose teeth
teeth.
out of her
I
mouth.
don't know.
Uh, and
Mm,
and she
ah,
starts with one,
ah,
and then, okay, there's one way in the back she's gotta dig for, and, so just her teeth just start falling right out. She calls
ah,
her husband Paul, and she's really in trouble, that there's something wrong with her teeth. Janet is her name. The door slams between her and her husband. She continues to lose
ah,
teeth and quite a bit of blood as this ritual is continuing.
Yeah.
The husband is trying desperately to get into the bathroom and he's not able to. And we're so close to getting a door kick here. He backs up. He's just getting ready to kick the door and when it just sort of swings open all on its own.
Oh,
And there's his oh, we've got this close up. I'm going to pause it here
oh,
on the title card, but we've got that close up
oh,
of one of the teeth like sliding down the drain.
ugh.
It is so gross.
I will say, and I'm going to assume that most people have watched this episode. This episode is not for the faint of heart,
This one's
or for
gross.
this one, oh god.
Yeah, it's not super well, no, it's a little
No,
gory.
it's not gory. It's gross.
It's gross. It's a gross one. Yeah, this one is written by Ben Edlund, and he typically his episodes have like a really quirky sense of humor to them. And I think in this case, because he couldn't really be funny, he went gross.
And wow, did he?
He went super gross. So I will share with you that this is one of the most personally horrifying things that we see in Supernatural. I have recurring nightmares about my teeth falling out. I had one 2 nights ago. And so, like, this whole thing of her, pulling her teeth out and not being able to talk because her teeth are breaking, like, that is literal nightmare fuel for me. So,
I can honestly say that is one I have not had.
yeah,
Knock
that's,
on wood.
not a happy dream,
No.
but one I have somewhat I don't wanna say frequently, like it's every day or anything, but it's recurring. So as soon as I saw this and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad."
Oh.
Alright. So, before I hit play, the actor who plays Paul, his name is Jonathan, I believe he pronounces it Watton, Watton, and he is in The Handmaid's Tale and Murdoch Mysteries. So if you watch either of those two shows, he might look familiar to you. All right, hitting play, coming out of the title card. Um, we have a similar situation to the previous episode where Dean is interviewing the surviving spouse, and Sam is casing the house. So Dean is kind of the distraction here,
Yeah.
and Sam is going through the bathroom looking for some kind of clue as to what's happening. And Dean is kind of asking, did she have any enemies? And as the husband Paul is saying, like, no, everybody loved her, Sam finds what we're gonna learn is a hex bag under
Yeah.
the bathroom
I
sink.
say, but watch his face right there, and look how like
Oh,
it suddenly goes stone cold for a brief moment,
like, oh
and
no, everyone loved
loved her.
Janet.
Yeah, like right there, like you
Yep.
almost. I frankly, I mean, it does not happen, but I almost expect him to blink and have his eyes go black.
No, I understand, and this was, I think you had made a similar comment either last episode or the episode before, that, yeah, they're definitely playing games with us this season, like who's evil, who's not. We did have a dude, and there is so Sam shows Dean the hex bag with the bones in it and stuff, and Dean goes on this kind of tirade about how much he hates witches. He says,
Yeah.
always spewing their bodily fluids everywhere. So
So
Sam's theory is that there's there's a witch, and Dean makes a, Blair bitch in the woods comment. Lynn, I
Yeah.
see you have something you wanted to say. But so the director of the Blair Witch Project, Eduardo Sanchez, will later guest direct some episodes of Supernatural. So it's funny to get that little reference this early. Sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
So here, I'm just gonna pause it real quick before we get too much
Okay.
ahead of ourselves. So what's interesting is in that last scene, there truly is an oopsie in that last scene.
Okay. What did you find?
And I will admit, I read it online and then I watched it, and they're right. If you
Mm,
watch the boys coming out of the house, they are visibly getting soaked by the rain.
mhm.
And they drive away in what is visibly pouring down rain. But as they're sitting in the car, the rain is not hitting the windshield.
Yes, the weather will create continuity errors sometimes and quote unquote errors. Let's call them continuity issues.
Yes.
Because it's true. It's true. It's not raining when they're in the car. Um, but it's for budgetary reasons, they can't always correct things in post.
So,
So
all right. So,
you're
anyways,
right.
all right.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it bothered me. I just I found it interesting.
It is
Anyway,
interesting. It is
so
an interesting continuity difference.
hitting play.
Hitting play. So we've got a couple here and they're doing housework. Here comes their neighbor Amanda, and you can see she's got a bandage on her hand. And she's being very shady. She's being evasive. She didn't come to book club last night. Um and she's saying, "No, no, everything's fine." She goes into her home, um, and, uh, she pulls out of the oven
Oh,
what appears to be a very lovely roast chicken dinner, circa last week, and it is now crawling with bugs.
oh,
And, so there's some
so
combination of,
gross.
like, mealworms and flies and maggots, which is awesome. Cut to outside at night. Paul is sitting outside, and on the radio is Poison. Every rose has its thorn, and
Lord.
he's got some takeout that he is eating in the car. And again, this is going to cut back and forth as well. So here's Amanda with her lovely, week old bug infested chicken dinner. Paul checks his wrist for his watch and it's missing because Amanda has it. So apparently, this ritual she's performing requires something personal of the person she wants to hex. So she had Janet's toothbrush. Now she has Paul's watch, and she's like, "Now you're gonna eat it." And she stabs this dinner. The radio switches to the screaming Jay Hawkins, "I put a spell on you." Cut to this close up of the burger
Burger.
that Paul is eating, and it is crawling with maggots. And you can see him kind of chewing and like something's something's a little different. He goes Without looking, he again takes another bite
Oh,
of this burger that we
oh,
know to be bug infested, and he s again, feels like something's
oh,
not quite right, and he looks down and he realizes, "Oh god, he's got a maggot burger." He starts to choke, he's outside the car, the boys come tearing up, baby's tires squeal, we will look for that shortly, um and they find another hex bag in the car. There's this beautiful like blue and green flame effect on the hex bag. As Sam is burning the hex bag to break the spell, this ritual that Amanda is conducting bursts into flames in front of her. So this is the way that they're telling us this is happening in real time.
Yeah.
And Dean is kind of
Oh,
interrogating Paul, and he's like, "We've been following you because somebody murdered your wife." And finally, Paul admits he made a mistake. He had an affair. Whoever he was cheating on his wife with has been blackmailing him, and he finally said, "You know what? I'm done. I'm out. No more." Back to Amanda. She's flipping through her spell book here. For whatever reason, she is in a chemise.
yeah.
She's in some lingerie. Wind blows through, candles blow out. She starts to scream, and she like these really big gashes
Precious.
open up
Uh,
on
uh,
her arms, and she starts bleeding to death.
mm.
She collapses on this glass table. Cut back. I'm gonna pause here because 'cause we've got some things to look for. And
God knows
she
after all that, I need a drink.
indeed, let's hope our cards are good for us 'cause we need to wash that down.
Oh
But I
god.
think they do her dirty because, like, the way she collapses on that glass table, and Robert Singer, is the director of this episode. He filmed it, like, from the bottom, so you see her with, like, her arms in these, like, puddles of blood. Her knockers are jacked up to her chin, the way that she is, like, face down in her underwear on this, and, like, there's no reason for that. It's gratuitous. There is no reason for it whatsoever. Okay, I have a couple of things to tell you about maggots, but before we get there, we have a dude and a baby's tires squeal to look for.
Alrighty.
I have a dude.
I
And
I don't think I have either, but
oh
fuck it,
no.
I'm drinking anyways.
Yeah, we are now watching this.
Holy crap. Watching that, I'm drinking regardless.
Oh, to maggots.
Oh god. Ugh.
Mm,
Ugh. Ugh. I'm trying to get that picture out of my head.
it is gross.
Wow.
It is super gross. Okay. So the reason there are maggots in this scene and let me back up and tell you that as horrified as I am of the thought of eating them, uh in general, stuff like that sort of doesn't bother me. And part of the reason is because I had a pet lizard and he ate things like this. So I had tubs of bugs in the house. I had crickets, I had mealworms. I didn't have maggots, but I had something called waxworms that don't look dissimilar. Um, so I had kind of the whole circle of life in my house to to feed my little spiky guy. But yeah, they are kind of generally terrifying. So the reason they're here is Eric Kripke was working on this episode with Ben Edlin. And the morning he was set to kind of sit down and kind of work on the script, he went out to his dumpster and he took the lid off, and an opossum had died in the dumpster, and it was just crawling with maggots. And he went into the office, he looked at Ben Edlin, and he said, "We've got to have a scene with maggots because it's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life." So, since it horrified Eric Kripke, he thought he would share.
Oh god.
Now we all get to be horrified. Um, and then, so they needed a maggot wrangler on set
Oh
because
god.
and apparently, I'm gonna talk about this like I know what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
I'm a Google expert here as I say this, but apparently when there are going to be maggots on set because they're larvae, right? They turn into
Right.
flies. They have to figure out when do they need the maggots on set, and then they work backwards from that so that they can breed them and have them hatch and do all the filming that they need to film prior to them turning into flies and flying away. And then they've gotta have somebody, um,
Mhm.
you know, wrangling them. So there was a
Yes.
maggot wrangler on set this day.
Oh, good God.
Like, that's somebody's job.
Ew.
That
Just
is somebody's job.
ew.
Uh,
And that is someone with a very strong stomach because that would not be me.
I am grateful to work with my spreadsheets. All right. Well, we have hit play and we have a lock pick because the boys break in and they think they're coming to kill a witch and they get there and she's already dead. And Teen says that's a curveball. Here she is again with her boobs just smushed up to her chin. And Dean m rolls this, person's wrist over to the side, and you can see the gashes down the side, and he's like, 3 vertical cuts on each arm, like, okay, she was serious, so, meanwhile, Sam is investigating the dinner that's gone off, and he's, like, visibly nauseated by it,
Yeah,
um,
that makes 2 of us. Okay,
and Dean
I
turns around and
love
comes
Dean.
face to face with a dead rabbit.
I was gonna say I love the line where it's like Fatal Attraction all over again. Why is the rabbit get screwed in the deal? Always get screwed in the
Indeed,
deal.
their poor little rabbit, because again, we had, a bad day at Black Rock with the rabbit, so this
Yeah.
is Dean's 2nd run-in with a rabbit this season.
Oh,
Um, so, uh so we've got, the 2 of them now. So Dean's initial theory is that she killed she killed Janet, she tried to kill Paul, and then she killed herself, and he calls it a lover's night trick, and Sam
nope.
finds a hex bag under the coffee table where Amanda died. So now we've got a little witch on witch
Oh my
violence. Dean calls to report a dead body, and then he's like, "Yeah, my name is Click."
See, I love that kind of humor. Like
Yeah,
that little catchy humor. I love those lines.
I do too, and that is
Yeah.
Ben Edlund at his finest. All right, so
Uh,
now we are at book club. There's a
look.
couple of ladies here, and
Yes.
their husband, Ron. I'm gonna pause here on Ron. Ron is getting to leave, and now I'm going to assume you recognize his name is Ken Treblet, and I'm going to assume you recognize him.
So, it's actually the one that I recognize. I probably actually do because I believe he is in, When Calls the Heart.
He is indeed only for 3 episodes, but he is there.
Yes. The one that I very much recognize is the dark-haired woman. Because she
Yes.
was in General Hospital right when I watched it when I really was addicted to it, and she was very much on there. So she was
Indeed, she was.
yes, she was
Her
Nicholas
name is
Cassadine's
Marissa Ramirez. She plays Tammy.
yep, and she was Nicholas Cassadine's love interest when I was watching it.
Gia Campbell
Yep,
is according to IMDb, character's name.
yes.
She was also in Blue Bloods. And then the other woman sitting there, her name is Kristen Booth. She plays Renee Van Allen. She appeared alongside Jensen in 4 episodes of The Boys as a character named Tessa. So she and Jensen would go on to work together again at a later point. All right, hitting play. So Ron is kind of making some um not great quote unquote jokes about
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, book club. When was the last time any of you actually bought a book? Okay,
Mm.
so the person who has come in, her name is Elizabeth, and she's saying, how can we possibly continue with book club when Amanda is dead? And Renee is like, "Oh, it's so awful, but that's all over now, and, we're getting great things from book club. Your husband got promoted, you won that little trip to Hawaii, her home pottery business is finally taking off," and so she's all about the benefits.
Yeah.
And, if poor Amanda is dead, that has nothing to do with this, right?
Oh,
Um, so they carry on with this ritual here. They've got an altar cloth, they've got um, candles, they have a book of shadows, and they start praying to this book of shadows and the master of the book, which is some kind of demon. So we learn in this episode, we're going to find out more about witches and
mhm.
witchcraft as the series goes on. But in this episode, we learn that witches get their power from demons. So it's we have fake IDs.
Jeez.
It's essentially a demon deal, but it's a different kind of demon deal than one makes with a crossroad demon. Um, so here are Sam and Dean again with their fake
Yeah.
IDs. They're investigating the murder, and they're asking Amanda if, not Janet, I'm sorry. I'm getting this is Elizabeth they're interviewing. Too many people to keep track of here. They're interviewing Elizabeth, although you'd think I'd remember her name. If she's aware that Amanda was into, anything satanic, and she's like, "No, she was Presbyterian."
And I love when Dean goes, "Well, apparently she was using the wrong Bible."
Different Bible for her.
Bible. Yeah.
Um,
Oh my god,
and
that bitch is shit, that woman is such a bitch.
she's really very condescending to um Dean and Sam. But of course they have something to hide, right?
Yeah.
Um, I didn't mention this earlier, but there was a reference to Mayfair. So there's kind of a Witches of Eastwick um nod here.
Mhm.
So the boys realize, oh, and so when Dean flashes his fake ID, he identifies them as agents Bachman and Turner. So my question is, where is Overdrive? So Bachman Turner Overdrive has music that is somewhat regularly present in Supernatural. We've got a meta moment here because the craft corner, they're looking at the newspaper,
Okay.
and there's the craft corner with Liz Goldwyn. Liz Goldwyn was an assistant art director. So these
Yeah.
articles read like, these people are winning
Yeah.
crafting competitions. They're winning
Yeah.
raffles and things that they really should not be winning.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like he comments at the one time that, "Man, you have a very green thumb because you're growing things that are very out of season."
Out of season, absolutely. And Sam's answer is we need to stop them. And by stop he means murder, which again is kind of out of character. There's this
Yeah.
great shot here. We've got an electronics flicker as baby kind of stalls and the
Well,
lights flicker in and out. Great shot kind of over the top as baby like rolls to a stop in front of Ruby who's standing in the middle of the road. Dean's got the cold. He didn't have to pull that out of the trunk or anything. He just has it on him,
of course.
which is something we're going to learn about Dean, that he likes to be armed with the most powerful weapon available at all times. And he's ready to off Ruby. And Ruby's like, you need to get out of Dodge. Your problem is not these witches. It's the demon they serve. And Damon is in town checking on she says witches are whores. And you can see Dean's like, Are we agreeing on this?" um, so this fight is kind of continuing. Like, why are we even having any kind of civil conversation with this demon? You need to get your hooks out of my brother and be on your way, or I will end you. And Sam gets in between Dean and Ruby and stops him from killing her. So file that away. So Ruby disappears. And you know what? I'm gonna give this just a second because this is a quirky motel room, and I'm gonna go ahead and pause this here. So we have an electronics flicker, a quirky motel room, a fake ID, and a meta moment. So let's see if we
Alright, I
have.
better the hell okay, I have a meta moment.
Okay, very nice.
Finally, I'm on the board.
I Oh, I forgot to mention there was a lock pick earlier. I
Oh,
do have
yes.
that one.
No, no. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I do have quirky motel room. So I have
no,
lock pick and quirky motel room. Let me just go over the list again. Electronics flicker, quirky motel room, meta moment, fake ID, and lock pick.
I can't believe
And
of all of those, I have 1.
and previously we had a dude and a baby's tires squeal. So yeah,
We're
we're not we're not doing awesome here.
no. Um, yeah, no.
Well,
Not in the least.
we're gonna drink like we did well.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Cheers.
Cheers.
They get into this. I'm hitting play.
Yeah.
I'm hitting play. There it goes. And Dean is continuing to tear a strip off of Sam. Like, what on earth is wrong with you
Oh, I love
working with this demon? And Sam is like, I know she's dangerous, but she's useful. And Sam keeps pointing out she's been really helpful, and if she wants us dead, all she has to do is stop saving our lives. Um, Dean goes into the restroom, he splashes some water on his face, and you can see he's starting to not look so good. I mean, he's trying to hide it, but, he's starting to, like, mm, and he uses this line, eating her up inside or eating you up inside, and then he keeps like, ugh. And so as this scene is going on,
Oh, and he's grabbing his side.
he's really starting to hurt, and he doesn't want to stop yelling at his brother. But he moves to the bed, he sits down, he's starting to kind of like double over. Um, and Sam is like, "You're leaving, and I have to stay here in this crap hole of a world alone. The way I see it, if I'm gonna make it, if I'm gonna fight this war, I've gotta change." And Dean says, "Change into what?" And he says, "Into
To
you.
you. I
I
love
gotta be more
that
like
line.
you."
I love that exchange.
I do too. We're gonna talk a little more about that in a minute here,
Oh,
but it's really starting to get to Dean. He's
yeah.
like, Sam, something's wrong.
Wrong.
It feels like a bunch of knives inside of me. We have a son of a bitch, which we will check for in a moment." And Sam and Dean realize this has to be the coven. So Sam starts just cutting everything to pieces. He's searching everything for this hex bag. Dean leans forward. He starts to vomit blood. Sam is literally cutting open the mattresses, trying to find. I had no idea mattresses looked like that on the inside. That's honestly
Oh,
grosser to me than the bugs. Um, but Sam realizes
that's clearly a very old mattress.
one hopes.
N
And so Sam realizes he's not going to find this hex bag in time. He grabs the colt, he runs out. Uh, we have someone other than Dean drives baby, so we will look for that in just a moment as well. As Sam is driving, we see these three ladies from the coven performing some kind of ritual. And Sam starts to interrogate him. He's like, "Which one of you is doing it? You know what I can do with this gun. You're killing my brother, and
now
you're gonna
now
knock
now
it
I would
off." Go
argue
ahead, Lynn.
would we
I'm gonna pause
arguably
it
say
actually.
that
Go
was a
ahead.
kick in the door? Because clearly he did not pick that lock. He didn't take the time.
You know what? Let's back it up. Let's take another look at it.
Because
Let's
I mean,
see. So they're okay. So the ladies are performing their ritual here. Let's see.
like, I mean,
I would be prepared to call that a door kick. You don't like really clearly see him doing it, but with the way the door flies open, there's sort of no other option.
I was gonna
So
say
I would agree.
I was gonna say there's no other explanation for that.
I agree with you. That's a door kick. And if that wasn't a door kick, she just
That's
kicked in the door to get into the hotel room. So we have two door kicks. We will count one of them. Ruby breaks into the room, she throws Dean on the bed, and she pours something kind of nasty looking down his throat, and excuse me, but when she comes in, Dean says something like, "Get in line, bitch," and she's like, "Stop calling me bitch." Cut back to Sam with the witches of suburbia here,
I almost said
um
witches of Eastwick.
and he starts kind of reasoning through, like, "Okay, you guys are not behaving like I would expect witches casting a spell to kill my brother would act." Um, Dean, back in the motel with Dean and Ruby, he's like, "What was that stuff? God, it was ass. It tasted like ass."
Like
It's called it's called witchcraft, short bus. Short bus. So Dean is alive. He knows witchcraft. I'm gonna pause this here.
I love that scene.
It is fun. It is a ton of fun. Okay, so Ruby tossed Dean a shotgun and marched back out the door. Cutting back to Sam is with his coven here, hitting play. So, we've got Tammy who's sort of looking like desperate, please don't hurt us, and you can see Sam like doing the clue thing, like, wait a minute, of all of these people, you're the only one who didn't ask for anything for herself. And she's like, caught me, and she calls him Magnum, which is a Magnum PI reference. And her eyes go black, and Sam just says, "Let my brother go."
And I love it.
And when it
I love it.
becomes
Sorry, you couldn't find the hex bag.
Yeah. And honestly, at this point, like, there's no way Dina survived if it works. He fires the Colt at her, and she just puts her hand up, and the bullet drops. So, if it can hit her, it'll kill her in her tracks. Um, but it didn't hit her. So now it's on the floor. She tosses Sam against the wall. So we have Sam gets thrown against the wall. He has dropped his weapon. Um, and Tammy suddenly is showing her real colors, and she tells Renee to shut her painted hole, and she just flicks her neck all the way around the wrong way.
Oh,
So the only one of the coven left alive is Elizabeth,
yeah.
and Tammy is saying, "No, it's okay." And Elizabeth realizes you're not Tim, and she's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm wearing her meat." So this is kind of the first foray into what Supernatural will call a meat suit. So whenever a demon possesses a human, it's a meat suit. All right. While we have it paused, okay, we have a son of a bitch. We have someone other than Dean drives baby. One of the boys gets thrown against a wall, a weapon drop. So let's
I
look
have
for
that.
those.
And we have a kick in the door. We have definitely
We
decided we
did.
have that.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me about that one. I did not have that one in my notes, but you are correct. I have a son of a bitch.
I have that one too. Holy crap! I suddenly have 4 in a row.
Oh,
Um,
good for you. Good for you.
um,
Um, and that is it. Out of all of that, the only one I have is son of a bitch.
I don't have that. I had one of the boys drops his weapon, a kick in the door, and son of a bitch. And actually, wait a minute. Someone's thrown against a wall. I have that one too, but that's
Look
not
at
the
you
same.
go.
Yeah, well, I said at the end, I knew I had a bunch.
Right.
Just in the beginning, I knew I had nothing.
Right. So, all right. Well, you are doing better than I am at the moment. So I will toast your success. Although I do have one, but I'm drinking kind of a big shot for just one little square.
Yeah, size is relative.
Size is relative, but sometimes size does matter. So,
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it does.
all right. Hitting play here. So the demon that has infested Tammy is saying like, What what did you think you were doing? That you sold your souls to me for a better interest rate on your mortgage. That hmm, we have a Sammy, so we will check for that. But um, and I will say this is a very talk heavy scene. It's very exposition heavy, and she's laying down a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And this is coming back to what we learned in Sin City about the expectation that Sam was going to lead the demon army, and this demon that is possessed Tammy is saying like, no, there's a new leader, there's a real leader rising, and they don't like you very much. And what she's essentially saying is, I'm going to get rewarded for taking you out. So bye-bye. And there's a great effect here, I love it, where she, like, force pushes him up the wall
Yes.
and into it, and you see the drywall start to crack behind him, and it's a pretty cool effect. I like it a lot.
Well,
Uh,
that and does it not kind of I mean, I know it's not but it reminds me of the pilot from season 1 when the yellow-eyed demon has the mother go up the wall to the
yes.
ceiling, how she's bringing Sam up the wall. I mean, I know he doesn't end up on the ceiling, but
No.
it's that same effect.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, this is a power that demons have. We saw the yellow-eyed demon do it to when he was possessing John
Yeah.
in the season 1 finale as well. So yeah, you're not wrong. We didn't talk about it at the time, but Dean comes bursting in, and the demon also like flings him over a couch. He drops his weapon. And so now she's got the two of them, she's got the two brothers pinned against the wall. Ruby comes in and she starts kind of flirting with this demon. And apparently she used to um follow this demon, and she's saying, I've wanted to be with you for so long, and mm, she's just trying to get close enough. And so there's kind of a half decent fight here
Yeah.
between these two demons, between Tammy and Ruby. Ruby gets thrown into a television, and she starts Tammy kind of gets
Oh,
the upper hand. Mhm. I would also like to point out that Ruby has like a giant cross on her t-shirt. So clearly like any kind of religious symbolism is not damaging to demons.
yeah.
Uh Tammy grabs a fireplace poker, pardon me, and starts to
Oh,
beat Ruby, which I believe is a reference to the Witches of Eastwick, because one of the characters gets stabbed, for lack of a better word, with a fireplace poker. Elizabeth runs and she dumps out this bowl of pins. Me. And she dumps out this bowl of pins, and she starts to kind of in the background chant over this. I'm all verklempt.
oh. You okay?
I'll live.
Please do.
Pardon me. uh, so
Yeah. Yeah,
so mhm,
I love how, like, in this whole thing, like, you really think that, holy crap, she might actually, I hate to say bite it, but, like, might like, Meg might act like she might actually win, and
yeah.
then the girl who I hate to say it, the one who's always I felt had a conscience,
Mhm.
she's kind of the one who saves the day.
She does. She buys them some time. You are not wrong at all. And because Ruby and the episode kind of plays a little trick on us where we don't like Ruby, right? Because she's
Yeah,
fucking with Sam, and we don't like anybody fucking with our boys. Um, and but Ruby ends up on the losing end of this fight, and especially when Tammy starts to like pull the demon smoke out of her, you start to be like, "Oh no, Ruby." So this episode kind of plays this trick on us
yeah,
to get us to like feel bad for Ruby. And you're absolutely right that Elizabeth in the back um doing this ritual where so then the demon starts to like cough up blood. It distracts her long enough, and it releases Dean and Sam from their
yeah,
being force pinned up against the wall. And Dean gets up behind her and just like stab, 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 stab,
yeah.
which is um, I was talking with Andy of Andy's Fight Notes, about something different, and he was saying that, like, the most effective knife technique there is to just stab a lot. So, like, what he does to her is brutal and
Yes.
highly effective, that he just, he just takes everything out on this demon.
Would we call that trying to perform an exorcism? Because technically, she was
Who
trying
is
to
performing an exorcism?
I mean, when she was trying to get the demon out of when, and now I'm getting all the names all when she was trying to
Yeah,
get
yeah. Ruby.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because
His
she started to get the demon out of her, and that was sort of the point, was to get the demon out. And then she was able to get they distracted her and the demon was retained.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna ask kind of a persnickety nitpicky question here. Is Are we calling it an exorcism anytime a demon gets pulled out of a vessel, or are we requiring the the ritual of exorcism? Like, do we need somebody to say the Latin ritual of exorcism for us to call it an exorcism?
That's a great point because I know we decided that they didn't need to complete it.
Correct. We do see instances later in the series of demons being pulled forcefully from their vessel without any kind of ritual or magic incantation being required. Pardon me. But is it an exorcism? Speaking just for myself, I had presumed that thus in order to get the square, someone would need to start the Latin incantation for
Okay.
exorcism. I'm not saying that's
I
what we have to stick with, but if we're gonna decide today that an exorcism is any time any being attempts to pull a demon out of a vessel, whether they use the incantation or not, it will come up again. So we just need to say all caveats apply.
to
So
me
it
it's to for me personally, it's if you can get it to the evil, whatever you want to call it, thing to come out partially, since we're already saying that they don't have to successfully perform the full Latin because sometimes it does get interrupted because of
mhm.
whatever. If they start to pull the being out of the meat suit, even if they are not fully, to me, it's kind of, I hate to say six of one. I know it's not six of one, half a dozen of the other, but to me, because they can do things without saying it, to me, in my opinion, it means the same thing.
Okay. All right. So I can't say that's where my brain was, but I will go for it, and we'll just have to remember when it's an issue in the future that we will also call it an exorcism under those circumstances. Okay, so in that case, since we have it paused anyway, I'm trying to remember where we stopped. So we have, if we haven't looked for it already, Sam gets thrown against a wall, a weapon drop, a Sammy, and an exorcism.
And
And if
holy
memory
shit,
serves, I don't have any of them.
I didn't even realize it when I was arguing the point. That gives me 5 in a row, and I didn't even know it.
Our very first legitimate 5 in a row. Oh my goodness, Lynn,
And
congratulations.
I genuinely did not know it when I was arguing it.
I also have perform an exorcism, but it doesn't get me 5 in a row, so
Holy fuck, I
congratulations.
genuinely didn't realize it when it because other because like that's just genuinely how I felt, was like, to me that was performing one. It
Oh
was
my
just two. Holy shit.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Cheers. Congratulations. Our very first legitimate 5 in a row.
Holy crap!
We went from, "Oh, I'll get a couple," to, "Just 1."
Holy fuck! I did not see that coming, in case that wasn't clear.
Oh, congratulations.
I think I need another sip of wine after that. Holy fuck!
Oh, good for you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and hit play and we will celebrate a little more later. Um, we've just got a couple minutes left in our episode here. So, back at the quirky motel room, um, excuse me, Sam, the Conquistador Motel, and Sam is in the restroom. He's splashing water in his face. We've got a big electronics flicker here, but we've already checked our cards for that. Dean is outside,
He looks very
and
nervous.
yeah, Dean is turning to look, and I do think it's interesting that he just sort of stands outside. Like, Dean doesn't smoke, so why he's outside is sort of it's an interesting question. Why is he just kind of standing there when his brother is inside? And he's looking around, and here comes Ruby. So she teleports or materializes or whatever.
Yeah.
Um and they have a really interesting conversation here where Dean is following up on this information we learned in Sin City that all demons at one time were human. And so he's asking her about her human life and she's confirming that yes, every demon Ruby has ever met was at one time human, and she said, "Well, they've forgotten, that hell tortures your humanity out of you. That's what hell is, forgetting what you are." And um and she's like, "No, no, this there is real fire. Like hell is a real place." Um He makes a Hellraiser
There's
comment.
a
He's
joke.
like,
I
"Ah,
love
except for all the
oh,
custom
custom leather.
leather or lever." They got Hellraiser razor kind of, and you can see Dean is starting to like, "Oh shit,
Shit. This could
this
be
is gonna
interesting.
be worse than I thought."
Yeah.
She says, "Sooner or later, hell will burn away your humanity. Every
Well,
hellbound soul, everyone turns into something else."
and I love how
Uh,
she said it may take centuries, but
yeah.
but it
It
happens.
happens. It happens. And just the fact that, it may take centuries, but like there is nowhere to go. And
Yeah.
so Dean confronts her and he's like, "There's no way to get me out of hell, is there?" And she's like, "No."
Nope.
So she had told Sam she could.
Yeah.
And she admits to Dean, she told Sam that just so she could get him to talk to her. And
Yeah.
so the two of them have kind of an interesting conversation here where she kind of calls him out on the fact that he's trying to be stoic,
Yeah.
but she knows he's scared. She says,
Yeah.
"I need your help with Sam."
Yeah.
That it, I need Sam to be tough
Tough.
like you are. I need you to help me get him ready for life without you. Because this war is coming. Um, and so she's trying to enlist Dean's support. And so Dean asks the $1,000,000 question. He says, "Why do you want us to win?" And what she tells him is that she's not like all the rest of the demons, that She doesn't know why, but she remembers what it's like to be human.
Human. Yeah.
And this is the story that she tells them. And you can see it kind of hit Dean that now there's a
Mhm.
little bit of hope that he can hang on to his humanity when he's in hell. And he looks and she has
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah.
And the camera just kind of pulls back. And that is the end of
I
our
know.
episode is Dean standing alone in this parking lot with this conversation kind of hanging in the air.
Yeah. Which I mean,
There
which goes back to though the conversation that Sam was having with him before, pardon the
yes,
expression, all hell broke loose.
yes,
That Sam was saying, I need to change and become more like you. Like that's
yep,
the whole 180 conversation.
yep. Yeah, and that's something Ben Edlund, I think, does particularly well, is that kind of circular storytelling where,
Mhm.
you get like an information drop and then it circles back to it later. Something else that comes up in that conversation that I really like is that Ruby says, "I don't believe in the devil." Which again, going back to that Sin City conversation between Dean and the bartender. Like, I'm struggling to remember the character's name. The actress's name is Sasha Barese. But that some demons believe in a god, believe in Lucifer, and some demons don't. And so Ruby is claiming she's in the latter camp, that she doesn't believe in Lucifer. Um, we'll have to see how the next season or so pans out and see how that works out if she's telling the truth or not. And it's kind of this interesting thing demons lie.
Yes.
And and so trying to kind of tease out when she's telling the truth and when she's lying and what her motivations are all everything's really obscured right now. And so we see a really big shift, particularly in Dean's attitude towards her. That
Mhm.
at the beginning of the episode, he's ready to put a bullet from the Colt right between her eyes, and Sam has to jump in and save her. To the two of them, meaning Dean and Ruby, having something of a civil conversation at the
Yeah.
end, um, with her kind of giving him this tiny little teaser of hope that he might be able to survive hell with some part of his humanity intact.
Mhm.
So it's a great little conversation. I
Oh
really do
yeah.
love it.
Uh,
Well, we have a victory to celebrate.
I'm shocked. I am legitimately shocked by that one.
So, okay, you do in fact have 5 in a row, and
Yep.
it looks like a total of 7.
Yep.
And I have a lowly 3 in a row. And looks like 2, 5, 6 total. So you are our winner and champion. So
Well, cheers.
congratulations on your victory.
I say, I can't believe it took us this long to get one during a normal episode. Holy crap.
We got it.
We did
We
finally
got it.
get. Yeah.
So, all right, which brings us to one thing you loved and one thing you hated.
All right. Because the one thing I hated will be very quick, and the one thing I loved is not going to be so quick. The one thing I hated, that was a fucking gross episode.
It's
Those
gross.
bugs, oh god. Yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. Hate
Which
bugs.
I'm gonna interrupt you very briefly just because I think it's interesting that we complained about the episode Bugs, and we talked about how in for that episode, um, Cricky kept insisting, we can do it," and everybody kept telling him, "Bugs are not scary. Bugs are creepy, bugs are gross, they're not scary." And so it's interesting that they kind of circle back to it here, thanks to RIP Mr. Dead Opossum in Eric Kripke's trash bin. Um, you
They
know,
weren't
that
scary.
they're gross.
They're
They are
gross.
super gross.
I was like, they were
And
not scary. They were just nauseatingly disgusting.
and the whole, like, the way Robert Singer films that, where you,
Oh.
like, see the maggot squirming in the burger, and then
Oh
Paul
god.
takes a
Oh.
bite of it, and you could see
Oh.
him like,
Oh god,
"Something's
yeah.
not
I was
quite
like,
right
ew.
here."
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, oh, please stop. Yuck, yuck, yuck. I'm like, must drink more alcohol to flush that out of my, my eyes. Oh God.
Yeah. If there's an episode you kind of want to dip your eyeballs in bleach to, like,
Yeah,
expunge the visual from your brain, this is it.
this is it. Yeah, this is definitely it. Um, the one thing I loved is it was almost the plot of the episode is almost secondary to the meat of the episode, and I
Yeah,
loved that. Like, we
yeah,
finally find out what's going on in Sam's head. I mean, there's so much we finally find out,
yep,
and I love how they intertwined the two. I thought it
yeah.
was fantastic.
And that is something that really is Ben Edlund's genius,
Yeah,
that he is without equal when it comes to that kind of storytelling.
yeah,
That he really is just an extraordinary genius. That he's able to kind of seamlessly pull things like that off. I
yeah.
agree with you.
So yeah, so to me, that's what I absolutely loved. And
Yeah,
I loved the little comedic moments. I genuinely did. I thought they were funny as hell.
yeah.
Um, and all the little references and all of that.
For me, and honestly, for both something I loved and something I hated, I've mentioned both of them already, but just to reiterate, the thing I love, the episode doesn't beat us over the head with it, but I think it's interesting that they showcase a different kind of demon deal here than what we
Mhm.
typically see, because the typical contract is with a crossroad demon, and you get something you want
Yes.
for 10 years, and then you go to hell and hell gets your soul. Like, that's
Yes.
the typical contract. And this is something a little different where you promise to worship a demon. And so there's no specific thing, like you get X in return for Y. It's more like, okay, your ongoing loyalty and devotion gets you perks. And now the assumption is at some point when you die, you go to hell, but it doesn't have an expiration date the way that a crossroad demon deal does. So it's kind of interesting, and the way that it's presented is sort of much more insidious because it's um you have made a pact with evil, and it can seem all well and good at the beginning. Like, look at you, your home pottery business is taken off. You've gotten a lower mortgage rate. Your herb garden is blooming out of season. You know, so rather than one big thing,
Yeah.
um you know, like the episode we've seen, you know, you're a genius architect, you
Yes.
know, you know, or your wife survives cancer. You
Right.
get a bunch of sort of ongoing little perks, and you don't realize until it's too late how deep in you are and how much it's going to bite you in the ass. So I do just sort of mm, conceptually, I do kind of like this way that it showcases how slippery a slope it is
Mhm.
to do business with evil. And I think they do a pretty good job with that.
Yes.
The thing I hated, and I've already mentioned it, there is no reason on earth for Amanda to be doing that ritual that in her negligee. No reason at all. And for her to end up like, you know, with her boobs smushed flat on a glass coffee table, they do her dirty. And it's gratuitous. And if there's going to be some gratuitous nudity in this show, god damn it, I want it to be Sam or Dean. All right. Well, that is last call. Thanks so much for coming along with us for the ride. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to tell your friends. Please also like our videos and subscribe so it's other. Wow, those drinks were strong.
I was even gonna have a last
Subscribe
call.
so it's easier for other people to find us too.
And if you want to see us do more bonus features, which will more likely be more of this type of thing where it's more of us being a giggly hot mess, um, please give us some topics for Ask Jared so that that way you can see us just talking completely off topic.
You want
Well,
to watch 2 women drink until they're totally unintelligible? Send us some Ask Jared topics. Alright, well, in our next episode, we'll be discussing season 3, episode 10, Dream a Little Dream of Me, when the boys enjoy some sleepy time tea. Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
oh, no, Ducky says no, no, no. I said I also have a flutter of angel wings on my card, but
That
that's not
doesn't mean
gonna.
there are angels in the show.
Nice try, darling.
I can't even blame the eggnog this week.
And I don't even feel like I cheated at all. I really don't.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna blame my husband for not letting me sleep last night because he was snoring too loudly.
Oh, do
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. Trust me, it doesn't get any more interesting than that. He genuinely was snoring too loudly, so I couldn't sleep.
Oh, and here I was hoping for some naughty stories.
No.
Like, if he had been sort of walking to the car with his car keys in his hand,
That would have
like,
made
okay, Dean's
sense.
going to the bar. Dean's looking for some meaningful overnight companionship. Like,
Yeah,
something other than him just kind of standing there waiting for Ruby because it's in the script. I would
yeah.
agree with you. Yeah, the only way Dean's standing out there in the parking lot is if there's a group of ladies in the room next door.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So,
So,
yeah. Or a
um,
woman going, "Come here,
yes.
honey."
Hey, big boy.
Yeah. This is gonna sound horrible, and I don't mean it that way.
We just watched a
That
guy eat a maggot burger or a magnet burger, which from what I understand is really bad for you. So don't ever do that. But what can you possibly say that's worse than watching a guy eating a maggot burger?
that
I
didn't
I guess
bother
I'm a boob man.